with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jedley. Welcome to this episode of Reading with Your Kids. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts, in the shadow of the Great Blue Hill. We are so very honored and so wicked happy that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to write books for kids of all ages. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show and let them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network. And they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, CastBox, Player FM, Boom Play Ghana, wherever you find your favorite shows. We have three wonderful guests for you today. William Hartwick will be here to celebrate the Invisible Backpack. Fran Davila will be here. She's returning to celebrate her new book. And we'll be traveling back to the International Children's Book Festival in Bologna, Italy, to talk to our friend Helen Who. We would like to invite you to embark on a transformative journey with The Invisible Backpack, A Life of Courage, written by William Hartwick. Are you burdened by past hurts, grief, or trauma? William's heartfelt narrative, born from his own struggles with depression and Tourette syndrome, offers a pathway to lightening your load. Just like you, he knows the weight of an invisible backpack, growing heavier as life unfolds. But in his touching story, William invites you to courageously unpack it, making space for forgiveness, acceptance, tolerance, and love. Join William on a profound exploration of healing, blessings, and inner strength. Through William's vulnerability, he reveals the power of embracing your true self. Don't miss this inspirational tale of resilience and hope. Order your copy of The Invisible Backpack today and embark on a journey of self-discovery and courage. We are excited to let you know that this episode of Reading with Your Kids is sponsored by Jane Escapes to the Jungle of Individuality, the award-winning, captivating children's book written by Jennifer Nestor. This book celebrates the beauty of uniqueness and self-acceptance, inspiring young readers to embrace their own individuality by covering important topics like bullying, high-functioning anxiety, and mindfulness. This vibrant picture book is perfect for kids ages 4 to 9. Be one of the first to pre-order and take advantage of exclusive early bird reward specials starting April 29th through Kickstarter, like signed hardcover copies, Jane plushies, Jane backpacks, posters, and more. Act soon by visiting jenstoreauthor.com and clicking the pre-order button today. Get ready for a heartwarming adventure in Mommy's Day Off, the delightful picture book written by Jacqueline Christine. When young Louis's mom has to be away for a day, he's in for a wild ride with his dad. From waffle and ice cream breakfast to Wild West battles, they embark on an unforgettable journey filled with laughter and bonding. But as the day unfolds, Louis realizes there's a special magic that only his mom can bring to their home. Join Louis as he discovers the irreplaceable role his mom plays in his life, making Mommy's Day Off a touching tale of family, love, and the unique bond between a mother and her child. Get your copy today at Amazon or at JacquelineChristine.com. Join us right now from one of the loveliest cities in the United States, St. Augustine, Florida. Our guest is here today to celebrate his book. It's called The Invisible Backpack. Please welcome to the show, William Hartwick. William, how are you?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Jed, for having me. And you're right. St. Augustine is a place. It's an amazing place.
It is an amazing place. And I'm going to do something a little bit differently here on the podcast. Before I ask you to tell us about the Invisible Backpack, the people listening aren't going to see this, but I'm going to share my screen with William if I can figure out how to do that. Why isn't this working? My goodness. Oh, there we go. I'm going to share my screen with William because I would like him to see that the Invisible Backpack was just named a Reading with Your Kids certified great read.
How wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. I'm just going to read a little bit of the review, and this is a cold reading. I haven't seen this yet. The Invisible Backpack, A Life of Courage, is a faceted. I probably shouldn't do this without practicing. Is a multifaceted literary work that transcends traditional boundaries, offering readers a profound and introspective journey through the complexity of human existence. It isn't your typical book. It's like a treasure trove of different literary goodies that go beyond the usual stuff. Sure, there's a captivating story, but what really sets it apart are the awesome poems sprinkled throughout. They cover everything from the importance of teaching to the preciousness of children and the gamble that is life. Each one adds another layer to the book's big themes of resilience, love, and growing as a person. It's like getting a bonus with your main course. Makes the whole experience even richer. Congratulations, my friend.
Wow. Wow. I'm not a frivolous word. Those 3 letters are amazing. I'm honored to hear that. Honestly, it's my memoir. It's my journey of healing. I started writing when I was a young person because I struggled with reading and writing, period. Never have read a book cover to cover. And all the things that are in there were just brought to life for me. It was brought to a place of reality, and much gratitude to the readers and whoever just wrote those comments really make it all worthwhile. Yeah, it makes it a reality for me that there is hope, there is an opportunity to share a different way of doing things, and maybe others can benefit as well. I'm elated.
So tell us about the memoir. Tell us about this journey that you've been on.
So when I started writing journals, it goes back to 7th grade. I had a 7th grade teacher named Ted Weber in mid-70s, small town in America, Northern California. He was very flamboyant. He called me Billy Aloysius Horatio Llewellyn Hobart Agamemnon Hartwick. He goes, "You're going to be a great philosopher and writer someday, but go in the office, you're in my way." So I started writing rhyme back then, and my first 3 memoirs, which are now The Invisible Backpack, were entitled Reality, What a Concept, my first journal. The second was Global Warfare, The Fight Amongst Ourselves. And the third journal was called Starting Over. Then when I became a teacher in 93, I asked what these kids are carrying, what are we missing, what am I carrying, and The Invisible Backpack coin became a title for all my journals and a spot to put my thoughts and feelings for others to share in a related world like Invisible Backpack, A Life of Courage. That's my subtitle. Somebody else's may be different. So that's kind of how it all came about for me.
Yeah. So this idea of everybody carrying an invisible backpack, what do we find in that backpack?
Well, on the back of it, this is not written by me, written by a reader. It says, when we're young and courageously climbing the stairs of life, it's extremely light and we really don't know it's there. As we get older, it gets heavier with whatever pain, grief, or trauma we experience. Unfortunately, we resist taking these feelings out of our backpacks and letting go of them. Some of us hold on so tightly we forget to make room for the things that lighten our load: forgiveness, acceptance, tolerance, and love. For if we put these items in our backpacks, it will cancel out all the negative things we've been holding on to, and our life's journey will become much lighter. And that's on the back of the book.
Yeah.
Kind of why I wrote it.
So this idea that, obviously all of us will experience loss, will experience hurt, challenge. One of the things that we've talked about here on the podcast, there are so many parents who want to bubble wrap their kids and protect them from whatever kind of disappointment that they can experience. And that's really not helpful. It's not realistic that we all have these these experiences, whatever they may be. But some people, as you pointed out with that quote, some people, they just keep that disappointment, that sense of failure, and they keep loading it up in this invisible backpack and stress about it. And I'm guessing that you're thinking that the more we kind of hold on to those feelings, the heavier our load and our life is going to be.
Yes. Yeah, and see, I always talk about the theory of 1% of things. But if we take one thing, Jed, out of our backpacks, if we don't like it, we can put it back in. But we're never going to get to two of the things that are bothering us unless we try one. And the backpack scenario, to me, is something that we can all relate to. You know, we carry these loads. How are you doing? Fine. No, you're not. I'm sorry. Really? Are you just saying it? It's the things that we transcribe life into, because it's much easier to lie and tell people I'm fine than to accept any judgment or any other people's feelings. And so the backpack scenario is you take one thing out, you look in the mirror, because I think the only honest person to us in our lives is us, and that whatever your relationship with God is, because the truth has to come out, and, you know, mine gets to every day. I get to tell my truth. And there's three sides. There's your truth, my truth, and the truth, like the judicial system have. You know, we start telling our truth, we start feeling better and stronger. Mine happens to be in line. And my invitation for the backpack scenario is find yours. How can you start releasing some of the trauma and turn it to self-love and start experiencing love each day, and, you know, live every day, die once. Not, you know, we only live once. We only die once. Yeah. So it's kind of the scenario.
Interesting. One of the thoughts, one of the quotes, and I know I'm not going to repeat it correctly, but that I've heard that meant a lot to me is that there are so many people out there that they're alive for a long time, but they die young, or they spend, instead of spending decades living, they spend decades dying.
You know, I wrote this the other day. I got a chance to do some speaking via Zoom in Kansas City at the AWP, American Writers Program, and that's part of the topic. We talked just about that, and my point is that it's called "What's Your Number?" and finding self-love. And no matter what it is, mine's 53. You know, what's your number? Finding self-love, finding it, no matter when it is the turnaround point. And then everything's possible. Until then, we find everything impossible. We find it a dead end. We find the door shut. We go to work. We hate it. We come home. We hate it more. We try to sleep, and we're stressed because we hate it. And then we're finding a vicious cycle instead of breaking the cycle. You know, I mean, we all have a choice to break cycles. And I think the hardest thing is we go through life, and we've always been told to have a routine. Is it the best for us always? Or maybe getting out of bed and not having coffee, or taking a walk, or maybe trying something different that day. And the acceptance, patience, tolerance, and love with grace is fine. But I also say, and something new every day. Mm-hmm. I think that's the difference at age 59 that I get to do finally, is find that love and something new. You know, I'm starting again at 59, and it feels fantastic. It feels amazing. And having the opportunity to find it and do it, and make amends where I need to for the things that may have happened in life, and keep moving forward so others can maybe find their way too. Yeah. You know, I love to help people, but, you know, helping myself in this whole journey has been the key. And that's why the book came out, was to take care of me.
Yeah. Interesting. What you're just talking about reminded me, way back when I was in human services and working as a social worker. I remember having a conversation with one of my colleagues who wasn't a very happy person, and was always upset and angry. And during our conversation, she just said, well, this is just me. This is my personality, and this is just the way I'm going to live. And I thought to myself, wow, that really sucks. It's not a fun way to live. And she was just kind of like, this is it. I can't do anything about it. I'm not even going to try to do anything about it.
Yeah, a millionfold, a billionfold. The world, unfortunately, has gotten to that And even in the turn of the 21st century, we can put our finger on many things that have suppressed that bureaucratic push down. My thought is if we turn that pyramid upside down, and all those social workers, us people that are, we start pushing up and let the world have a fair playing field and stop the judgment piece and get books like this in people's hands or thoughts of being better or stronger, then maybe those things can go away as well.
Yeah.
Because the world's getting cramped. I mean, it's really getting tight. And it's getting to a point of even more submission. And so how do we overcome that? How do we get to a point of having these conversations? Well, we find each other and we have it, and maybe someone wants to hear this piece and pick up another one, and we can maybe start working on it. Every conversation I've had in the last 2 weeks is all about this.
Yeah.
All about how can we come together, what kind of mental health is out there, what can we do to help people, and it comes down to helping ourselves too.
What were some of the challenges that you had to deal with in your journey and get rid of or take out of your backpack?
Humans. Was that Chevron commercial a few years back? Humans are weird. I think for me, honestly, it had a lot to do with acceptance. A lot of things happened, Jed, that maybe shouldn't have happened in the last 6 years of my life. Having 2 ears and 1 mouth and using them in direct proportion, maybe start listening to what people are telling me. Also, a burning desire, my book's dedicated to Robin Williams. I met Robin when I was 16 years old, and I got a chance to experience a few things in his life. I'm not saying I'm an expert on Robin Williams or he's my best friend, but the man changed things for me in ways. And he always talked about keeping things, making sure you understand where people are coming from because you just don't know. And he goes back to the earlier talking about sadness and happiness. Well, here's a man that never had a script, most electrifying mind that we could actually see, wasn't very happy and had some things that were tough for him. In my backpack, I carry it. And my book inside here is Newsweek's magazine that they did on Robin about 5 years after he passed. It's the most remarkable article. I'm telling the whole thing is that it all comes back together about laughter and love and all the things that we really need to do versus the things that we tend to easier to do is take the 8 muscles to frown and 13 to smile. I tell people to quit working out and start smiling. It's much easier.
Great advice. One of the things that you told me in the notes before we started was that you've lived with Tourette syndrome. Can you talk a little bit about that first, what it is and how it made your life, your struggle, your journey difficult and how you overcame those struggles?
Wow. Tourette's is neurologically passed on through generations and generations. One of those things is still being studied. I feel like I'm a self-proclaimed expert living with it, but I was 35 when I was diagnosed, sir. I went through life in the 70s. I was born very ill, matter of fact, coma-like, lost all the soot in my body, pronounced a vegetable state, never walk or talk. So as things happened as a child, it was kind of tribute to that. We're small town America. What's this shaking? What's this twitching? What's this screaming? What are these things? And so at 35 when I was diagnosed and got medication, they thought that would help. So we put Xanax, Risperidol, Ambien down my throat. And it changed. Everyone liked that, but it wasn't good for me. Mm-hmm. It was miserable. It was life changing. So, bipolar became part of my life as well. A lot of trauma and things happened and, things start, compiling. Tourette's, it's in the back of the book. It's metaphorically correct, so I'm not going to throw some language at your show right now, but it has a lot to do with judgment of people how they perceive it. Adults were the hard part as a kid. School was challenging. Couldn't do the academics like they wanted you to. I was called an SOB, kicked out of class, you name it. I mean, it happened. The swats on the butt, the push-ups before you come in. I was the little Billy that it was named after, I'm little Billy. So Tourette's was tough, and overcoming it is still overcoming it right now. A lot of studies on it, a lot of information out there, more and more. They've spectrumed it. They took it from Tourette's to Tourette's syndrome, OCD-like symptoms, ADHD, tic disorder, and they've kind of spectrumed it. Makes it easy for Big Pharma to throw down another pill for them. As they did autism, they spectrumed it out a little bit. So if we put autism and Asperger's and we spectrum the stuff, then we can run a medication system much easier through Big Pharma and insurance. So that's kind of how it happened. There's a lot of studies on it, a lot of things happening. I was in a store the other day and a young lady behind the counter was obviously thinking, I said, hey, do you have Tourette's? She goes, yeah. I said, I did too. So I got her a book and brought her a book back in. So that's where that's now. That's dealing with it. Writing, sharing, and making the world understand that, it's different, but I'm not going to explode and you won't get cooties if you're around me. It's okay. But it's an interesting condition because it's judged constantly. What are you on? Got some shit? I have Tourette's. You want some of it? And that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. Fascinating. It's, I think it's one of the things that hopefully we're getting to right now is talking to our kids and helping them understand that people are different, but the thing we need to understand mostly is that we are all part of one beautiful human family.
Agree. And as a teacher, my mantra, every school I had was the place to be. And I agree with that. We all are individuals. Education is the best invention. Are you there?
Yes.
It's the best invention of modern time in the world system. So we have a chance to really help children and start teaching them where they are. We screen them for a long time. We got their minds speeding up. We got to go in warp speed. Then we take the computer away and give them a book. Well, how about we teach them where they are and how to use technology to learn and be successful in their world instead of going back to our world and say, okay, here's this book. Well, I really don't think I can open that right now, but can I fire through this and find the same information? So teaching them where they are, allowing them to learn their way, and then accepting that, learning from them, I think is important too for the kids. Diagnosing them younger is very good. It helps everyone understand. Medication works in some instances. I think for bipolar it works a lot better. I'm not sure what's out there right now for Tourette's in the medicating world. Just not my favorite topic at the time because I've had some serious yuckies with it. So, I'm always willing to listen. But, I don't know that the pill's the first answer to anybody diagnosed with anything, honestly. So I think we should probably look at self-love and appreciation and finding the hugs and not the drugs before we do.
We've talked a lot here on the podcast about different things. One of them being ADHD, and we've fortunately had a lot of experts talk a lot about what you just said. Hugs. Let's try hugs before drugs. Let's look at the different ways that we can change how we're interacting with our kids before we look to medicate them with some very, very powerful drugs that can change a kid's mind.
And we're not here to change minds. We're here to change mindsets.
Mm-hmm.
Sigmund Freud, I love him or hate him or whatever thoughts are, but he studied that first 5 years of development and found that 95% of knowledge of people's minds are developed between ages 0 and 5. The other 5% becomes that knowledge piece. But we learn language, walk, communication, eat, all the things we learn. And his answer when he was interviewed right before he passed away was, he gets it from love and hard work. That's Freud's concept of everything. It's love and hard work. And if we put love into people and work hard at not necessarily building the building to work hard, but work hard on ourselves and work hard about being humans that care about each other. And we bring in the love factor, a lot better things can happen and will happen. Yeah. And I think that goes back to our kids. Just sit down, shut up, and read. Hasn't worked and never will.
Yeah. Well, I agree, and that certainly has been my experience. What is the one thing, if there's somebody out there listening who is having difficulty loving themselves, or if they are noticing that their kids are having a hard time loving themselves, what's the one piece of advice that you would share with them?
Jimmy Valvano, don't ever give up. Period. I can give you, love them, hug them, listen to them. Don't quit on them. You know, I guess the answer is they may not want the hug when it's being offered, but they want the hug.
Yeah.
We're humans. We're born with affection. We are beings, and we want it. But we want it on our time, and we want to be heard. We want to be listened to. It's like bipolar. I had this question about 6 months ago on an interview about, what is it? I said, well, when we're not heard, we get louder. And then we're ignored, we get louder. How about listen? Don't give advice, response. Phil, just listen. And when they're ready for the hug, give them the hug. But don't force it. How about it be on the receiver's time when they're ready? Because right now, they're so not ready from all the trauma and all the deep things that have happened that one hug is not going to fix it. What one hug is going to do is take the one thing out of the backpack so they can get the second one on their time, when they're ready. But if you say, well, I'm leaving then. I'm going to hug you now or I'm out. Right. Oh, well, thank you for the ultimatum. I guess you're out.
Yeah.
But I guess it's more or less that I see you're not ready now. Let me know when you are ready. Not, it's like as a principal, I didn't use that word no in school. No, you can't. No, that's not what can we do? How can we find a different way? What's the next step? But you tell somebody no, that's definitive. They're probably going to remember the no before they remember everything else. It's our last best or our last worst act. And if our last worst act was no, I'm probably not coming back to you for the yes.
Yeah. So
let's not use it, and let's be patient, understanding, and respectful of the person's space and time, and then be there. Yeah, it could be 2 a.m. and the phone rings, and 2 a.m, I'm not answering. Well, maybe on the other end is somebody that needs it.
Yeah.
So consider letting some boundaries go and keeping others, but also realizing that we're not them, and we're not the one in the pain, and we're not the one suffering. So just be mindful.
Great advice. Great advice. William, where can people go to find out more about the Invisible Backpack and find out more about you?
Thank you for asking. The book's on your favorite places. I mean, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all those things, and Books A Million. And you can just Google it. The one you brought up, though, there's a new cover. This just came out. Matter of fact, the edition just came out today, the new edition. It's to be replaced. So the book you had on the intro giving me the kudos was the old one. So it's there. Right now, email. We're working on a webpage. Things take time, and they take the good old money thing. But I would think by the end of June, webpage will be done. And then more things like this, we're going to keep reaching out. We're going to keep finding podcasts and experiences, and start our own, too.
Great.
To get out there and say hello and meet people.
Wonderful.
The more exposure, the better.
Absolutely.
We're just trying to reach out,
Absolutely. Well, we've had a really fascinating time speaking to the author of The Invisible Backpack. It's a Reading with Your Kids certified great read, and our guest has been the author, William Hartwick. William, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. Cheers. Have a great day.
Hey, for all the authors that are listening out there, I wanted to share with you this great email that we received here at the Reading with Your Kids podcast from Dr. Linda Mubarak. She is a past guest and the author of Maxine's New Job. Here's the email. Dear Fatima and Jed, good news! Maxine's New Job has been nominated to receive the prestigious Henri Award at the 2018 Christian Literacy Awards for Outstanding Literacy Work in the Children's Book Division. I sincerely believe your certifying Maxine as a great read helped bring increased social media attention to the book. Thank you for the exposure and the great marketing. We are so happy for Dr. Linda Mubarak that her book, Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read, Maxine's new job received this prestigious recognition. We would love to help your book receive that same kind of recognition. If you are interested in having your book considered for our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program, please visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You can click on the contact button, send us a note, and we'll send all the information back to you, or you can go right to our Certified Great Read page on our website. It's fun, it's easy, and it is really an effective way to let the world know that your book stands out above all the rest. The Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. Hey, are you ready to ignite a passion for reading in your students? Introducing bookandauthor.com, your gateway to literacy connections. With bookandauthor.com, connecting your school with talented authors of captivating kids' books has never been easier. Simply visit our user-friendly website and explore our extensive database of authors. Filter your search based on budget, genre, and availability. Discover the perfect match for your school and your students. But that's not all. With bookandauthor.com, you have the power to request a proposal. Let vetted authors come to you with their tailored ideas, ensuring an unforgettable literacy experience for your students. Don't wait any longer to inspire young minds through the magic of books. Visit bookandauthor.com today and open the door to a world of literacy connections. Bookandauthor.com, where literacy comes to life. Join us right now from the beautiful state of Virginia. Our guest is returning to the show to celebrate her brand new children's book. Is called The Lonely Chameleon. Please welcome back to the show, Francine Davila. Francine, how are you?
I'm doing so great. Thank you so much for having me back.
I'm excited to have you back. Last time you were on, we were speaking about cloud monsters, and I was just sharing with Francine, right around the time that we released that episode, I was at a live event in Orlando for the Florida Homeschool Association, and a young girl and her mom who met me on the first day came back to me the very next day saying that they had listened to the episode where we were celebrating cloud monsters, and the daughter had such a great time listening to Francine, and that just made my heart soar to know that not only are parents enjoying the podcast, but kids can enjoy it too.
That was so wonderful to hear. It's always so great to hear nice feedback and people enjoying the interviews and the book. So for me, that's just always just so wonderful to hear other kids loving my book and reading my book.
Yeah. So The Lonely Chameleon, how come this little lizard can't get any friends?
Well, Charlie is the chameleon and he cannot change color. So because of that, his friends tease him all the time and he kind of feels left out. So basically he kind of gets fed up. So he decides to kind of pack his bags and leave to kind of go to the other end of the forest to try to see if he could either find other kind of animals like him or if he can just kind of live his life alone. So he starts on his journey, this long trek through the forest, and he meets all these really interesting animals that want to be his friend, that want to play with him and be his friends, but he just pushes them all away because he honestly just cannot accept himself for who he is, and he's afraid that he won't be accepted by any new friends that he meets. And that is basically his main problem. He just cannot accept himself for who he is.
You know, you bring up an interesting point. When you first started talking about the book, I thought my first question would be different. But you made me remember my times working in human services, working with kids, running an after-school program. And a lot of times, the kids who would be lonely and feel lonely and left out, they kind of left themselves out. They were kind of engaging in behaviors that were pushing people away. And they very well may have been excluded at some point in the past, but that, they just continue to perpetuate that because they're like, it's fascinating.
Yes, I feel like kids that feel different feel that they can't have friends or people won't accept them for who they are. And that's definitely not the right way to see it. I feel like everyone is different and unique in their own way. There's not one person that is the same. So really, all kids should embrace their differences. And I feel if kids actually accept their differences, other people will be able to accept them as well.
That is absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very powerful to be able to accept yourself and embrace your differences. I guess, if we're going to celebrate diversity, the first place we have to begin is celebrating our diversity, what makes us different.
Right. Yeah. Yes, definitely. Like I said, everyone is different. If, whether it be skin color or, anything about someone that they don't like the way they look, any quality that they have, I feel like, even other kids that are kind of bullying other kids or bullying their peers because they look different. I think they should kind of take a look at themselves and other people and kind of treat them equally, knowing that, everyone will be different and you need to accept that and not kind of bully people because they have a different skin color or they, maybe tall or too short, or they shouldn't be bullying people because of that. They should be able to accept other kids.
Yeah. So what inspired this book? Was there a moment in your life when you found yourself pushing others away, or did you observe this in others?
Yes. This book is actually very special to me because I kind of dug it out of my personal experience while I was in school, because I was actually teased a lot in school. Especially in elementary and middle school, I was very small for my age and I looked very young. So, when I was in sixth grade, I probably looked like I was in second grade and I was very, very quiet. So, I was kind of a target for people. I was quiet. I could not accept myself for who I was. So I just kind of let it happen. I let myself be teased. I never fought back. And, my self-esteem was very low. And by the time I got into high school, I said to myself, you know what? I can't do anything about the way I look. I can't change my height. I can't change the fact that I don't look older than I am. So I just told myself, you know what? I'm just going to accept myself for who I am. I can't change myself. And once I did that, I started making friends and everyone around me accepted me for who I was.
How did you come to that realization and make that change in your own life?
I think that I was just kind of fed up at always kind of being teased and fed up actually with myself for not being able to accept myself for who I was. And I just kind of went through my childhood feeling that way, having low self-esteem, not being able to accept the thing I cannot change. So I just kind of eventually just got fed up and I said, you know what? I really will not, I'm not going to care about it when anyone says about me. I'm just going to accept myself and say, you know what? I'm small and I'm quiet, but you know what? I love myself for who I am. And I became this different person. I was confident in myself.
Yeah. Was there somebody that helped you get to that realization, or was it literally just you woke up one day and said, enough of this?
Just kind of being in school and just kind of seeing all these kids talking and being friendly with each other. And me just kind of sitting there saying to myself, you know what, I really wish I could be like the others. I wish I can be just like them. And I said, you know what? I was just sitting there saying, I can be like them. I am like them, and I just said, it was literally overnight. I just decided to myself, I'm just going to change. I'm going to accept myself and love myself.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't remember, a time, I wasn't the most popular kid growing up. I do remember, going to a high school, a private high school that I didn't know anybody. And at first it was kind of tough. And I liked to kind of dress kind of wild. This is back in the 70s. And I kind of get some grief for it. Some people were making fun of me. And I don't know what it was. I think it was just the obstinate part of me. I just went for it. And the more people made fun of the way I dressed, the wilder and crazier I dressed, to the point where it's like, everybody's like, oh yeah, that's him. And it's kind of cool.
Right, and they accepted you for who you were.
Yeah.
Because you loved yourself and you accepted yourself for who you were. You weren't going to change for anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wild. Yeah, one of the things about doing this podcast, every once in a while I get a little nugget of self-realization. Thank you.
Right.
I didn't have to pay a therapist for this. This is great.
My pleasure.
What is it about writing and writing for kids that you love so much?
Oh, yeah, definitely love writing for kids because kids have so much imagination. I know when I was a kid, I loved reading, especially science fiction books. It almost took me to a different place. I was kind of like, transformed into the character, into this different world. And kids have these huge imaginations. And I love doing that for kids. I love just having them use their imaginations reading my books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of getting themselves into the story. And, for me, I've always loved kids and I've always loved kind of making them happy. And I love kind of encouraging self-love and self-acceptance, kind of hopefully raising some self-esteem in kids.
Yeah. Well, The Lonely Chameleon is very different from your first book, Cloud Monsters and the Return of the Vultans. Was this a different experience for you?
Yes, it definitely was a different experience because I love science fiction and I loved writing Cloud Monsters and I will continue to write science fiction, but I definitely wanted to write a book for kids that did have low self-esteem, and I felt the need to want to help these kids and try to make them have the best childhood they could. And I guess moving on in the future, I will be continuing to write books about self-esteem and trying to help kids. That will be my main goal in life, is to, even if I can just help 2 or 3 kids, for me, my main goal is to try to help them and not have them go through, what I went through as a child.
How can a parent who is listening to this podcast and their kid is, kind of left out and doesn't have a lot of friends? I know for a lot of parents, and I experienced this running an after-school program, their first reaction is to come in and go, kids aren't playing with her, and they're and complaining and, wanting everybody else to change. What advice would you give to that parent so that they can help their kid learn what you learned overnight?
I think it really doesn't have a lot to do with the other kids not playing with them. I think it's a matter of changing themselves. I think it's a matter of them changing their attitude about themselves and looking at themselves in a different light, and instead of looking in the mirror or looking at themselves saying, I'm too quiet, or, my hair is too dark, or whatever it is that they don't like about themselves. I think they need to look in the mirror and say, I accept myself for who I am. When they're making friends, just don't look at the qualities that you don't like about yourself. Get the positives and look at yourself for who you are and all the positives about yourself, and be confident. Because I think once you go in there and be confident, other people can see that. Other peers want to be with people that are confident. They want to be friends with people that are confident and that love themselves. So I think that's the first thing that kids need to change, is just their confidence.
Yeah. It's interesting. When I started performing and would go out on stage and would be nervous and always like, are they going to like me? And the show starts and I'm not getting the laughs that I'm expecting, or the oohs and ahs. And one of my mentors said to me, one of the things that he did is he said, someone in that audience is going to like you. Make eye contact with that person. Give them a big smile and just perform for them. And just realize, that person loves it. Everybody loves it. And just go. And boy, what a difference that makes. You just win over the crowd.
And that's a good point, because not everyone will like you. Even though, you're confident, you love yourself, not everyone will like you, but you will have people that will be drawn to you because of your confidence.
Yeah.
And you'll have, you'll have more friends. They just feel self-esteem plays a big role in that.
Yeah. You were sharing with me that you have another book that will be coming out in the not-too-distant future. Can you give us a little sneak peek at that?
Sure, yes. The book is called One Stripe Stella, and it's about a zebra who was born with only one stripe, and she obviously has to do with self-esteem. She cannot accept herself for who she is, but it is kind of slightly different because Stella goes on a very big journey. She goes on an adventure, basically, to try to find herself. And, without giving too much away, it's kind of like a big train ride, a circus. So she goes on a lot of different adventures to kind of try to find herself and accept herself for who she is. So it's kind of along the lines as the Lonely Chameleon, but a little bit different because it has more adventure.
Awesome. Hey, I think it would be a great adventure for people to go and visit your website and check out, learn a little bit more about you and a little bit more about your books.
Yes, definitely.
Where can they go?
Sure. My website is my name. It's just FrancineDavila.com, and you can find any information about all of my books and any upcoming events as well.
We've had a great time speaking to the author of The Lonely Chameleon. It's the latest book from our guest, Francine Davila. Francine, thanks so much for being back with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was very fun. It was great. Thank you so much.
Before we invite our guest into the studio, I would love to invite you to visit a very special website. It's clownswithoutborders.org. Clownswithoutborders.org. This is a group that I absolutely adore. I am part of Clowns Without Borders, and I had the honor of being part of the 2023 tour of El Salvador. I had so much fun joining with artists from all over the world to bring a smile to people who really needed it and really appreciated it too. And we would love for you to join us as a monthly Joy Maker. The Joy Makers, they're a family of people just like you who love to laugh and make other people feel good. So please take a moment and visit clownswithoutborders.org and consider joining me as a Joy Maker. We are here at the International Children's Book Festival in Bologna, and joining us from China and the United States is a past guest, Helen Wu. Hey, Helen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Helen Wu. I'm a children's book publisher, and I'm also an author and illustrator.
That's right. You've been on the podcast in the past celebrating. It was
Tofu Takes Time.
Yes. And we've also had Patty Donnelly on the podcast a couple of times. And and my monster piece we celebrated too. Yeah. If I'm remembering right, this is a fairly new company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How long you've been in business?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think the first book you published was Vanishing Lake.
My monster piece and The Vanishing Lake.
And the Vanishing
the
Lake.
first two big books.
Yeah. So we've been with you from the start.
Yeah. Oh, what an honor. And it's so great to be here together.
I agree. Tell the people a little bit about this event. It's really amazing.
Yeah, it's really a great way for authors, illustrators, publishers, agents to meet together to find new opportunities to work together and bring wonderful works to the world and to readers and to parents and children, and really let literature flourish.
Yeah. Why is reading and literacy so important to you?
Because I think it's really important and a great way to pass passion and knowledge and joy to find wonders around the world to the next generation and spread kindness and knowledge to the world and to more people, and share your passion, share your dreams, and share what you really care about with more people. So I think that's really important to all of us, and we really need to improve this and create it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you market books both in the United States and in China.
Yeah.
Are you able to market the same book in both places, or do you have to change it to meet some cultural differences?
Yeah, that's a great question. Since Yeehoo Press published English editions in the States and the Chinese editions in mainland China, so when we acquire books, we really want to make sure the topics that fit both markets. And since the readerships are in different markets are quite different sometimes, especially, for example, when it comes to Chinese culture, if it's too sophisticated, sophisticated. It will be sometimes it will be like too sophisticated for U.S. readers, but sometimes the content that's the right level for U.S. reader might be a little bit too simple for Chinese readers. So we need to think of ways how to choose the content that really fit both markets. So that's why we focus on like topics about like STEM, hands-on experience, social emotional learning, and also about rich culture background, because I think that's we as human beings, we all need those, and children will learn a lot of knowledge with those evergreen topics.
Yes. You know, one of the things I'm so amazed at is how many children's books. I mean, there are tens of thousands of children's books here.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It really is. What are you told us that you're looking for STEM books and things like that. If there was somebody, an aspiring author out there that's looking to find a publisher, what advice would you give that person?
To learn about the publisher, I think different publishers, they specialize in different genres. Like some specialize in like animal-themed books, some specialize in like human character books, and some like they specialize in graphic novels, and some specialize in like younger readers, like board books or like simple rhyming stories. So to learn about the publisher and to submit your work really tailored for that publisher and fit that market. And also the most important thing is keep trying and keep submitting and keep going, and still keeping your joy in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's next for Yeehoo Press? What's the next book that's going to be coming out?
We have quite a few new books coming out. The next one is called Kindness Rocks. It's about it's about a rock star journey. Johnny lying that he is finding. He's in a fulfillment journey where he meets a homeless bear. That he finds the true way to fulfill the self is to spread kindness.
Awesome. Well, I agree. Kindness rocks.
Yeah.
And you've been kind enough to join us today. And I wanted to mention you are getting into the plushies.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, sure. So that's the dragon plushie is a companion toy for my book, Long Goes the Dragon School. So for Long Goes the Dragon School is about a water dragon who struggles to break fire in a Western fire dragon school and eventually discover his own unique talent. So it's a book about finding yourself, self-discovery, perseverance, and finding your belonging to a new community. So I make this dragon plushie featuring this water dragon because I want to bring the character out of the book that to become a companion for readers of all ages. And also I develop a lot of like other merchandise like tote bags, keychains, and many more merchandise are on the way because people like not only children but also adults, teens, they use this type of merchandise every day. So they provide this. So this thing kind of like provide a way for them to remember the character and make the character become their companion in their everyday life. So yeah, that's what I really want to expand this reading joy beyond the book and to make the character become a great companion in people's everyday life.
Awesome. Where can people go to find out more about Yeehoo Books?
You can find us on our website, yeehoopress.com, spelling like YEEHOOPRESS.com. And you can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at Yeehoo Press.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on Reading with Your Kids.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. It's a great honor to be with you.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. Until then, please be sure to connect with us on social media. Facebook.com/readingwithyourkids, at Reading with Your Kids on Instagram and TikTok, and at Jedley Magic on Twitter. Of course, we would love for you to visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You can check out our blog, download our free online magazine, visit our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read Wall of Fame, and use the contact button up at the top of the page to send us a message. Let us know what we are doing right. Let us know what we could be doing better, and let us know who you would like to hear on a future episode of the show. I want to thank everybody who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guests, William Hartwick, Francine Davila, Helen Hu. Also want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Chris Doherty, Nick Warner, Kyoko Ito, Kaylin Newland, Kristen Barrett, Sydney Swan, Hannah Rose. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to the show today, and thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.